So here's a huge welcome to both of our amazing women, Meredith and Sara. I will pass it off to you both to get started.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And before I even start, I just want to thank Meredith because through this entire process, I was able to connect with her and she is phenomenal. So I just want to start off by saying thank you, Meredith, and the whole team with Hygeia. Thank you. So I get to talk through the basics. So let's talk about what is networking. Well, networking, of course, is building and maintaining relationships, both professionally and personally. And why do we do it? So there's few things for that. For professional growth, we want to build our careers. We want to get new opportunities, get advice. Then there's the personal growth side, just seeing different perspectives of way of thinking, building that support system and just learning from others. And finally, that support system, creating that network and that mentorship. And like I said, that emotional support that sometimes really needed, especially as you go through your career. What are the different types of networking? There's in-person networking like conferences and trade shows and so forth. And then there's online networking. What would we do without LinkedIn? And the just amazing connections that it helps and helps with your whole networking process. Yeah, it's a game changer for so many. And then internal networking, crucial for career development, connecting with your colleagues, connecting with other departments, and then finally within your management. I wish I would have told my 22-year-old self, like that was probably one of the most important things to learn up front, was to network through the organization and up through your management so they get to know who you are. So with that, I'm going to turn it on over to Meredith.
Thank you, Sara. I think that this session was a really great way for me to get more involved with Hygeia because this is my second career. Allison mentioned a little bit about it, but I transitioned from a career in education to the hygiene industry. And when I entered this industry, I felt like I was starting from scratch, and being 30 and starting over in a completely new career felt really unnerving to me. And I knew what networking was. I knew why I needed to do it, but I kind of had to set that plan for myself of what did that look like. And for me, I found that replicable and sustainable was the best way to do it. And it started all with preparing. So a little bit more about those networking basics. The first thing that I learned was that setting goals was really important with networking. Sara just talked a bit about how sometimes we're networking for personal reasons. Sometimes we're networking to build a support network, but sometimes we're networking to build those very crucial professional relationships. So when we know what the goals are of what purpose we're networking for, it allows us to feel a little more prepared. Once we have those goals defined, we're able to do a little bit more research. So knowing who we're meeting and the context we're meeting them in. So maybe I have a person I really want to connect with because I want to learn more about the specific job they're in. Or maybe I want to learn more about their company and what they do and their core values. If I know a little bit about that and when I might have the opportunity to meet them, like at an in-person networking happy hour at a conference or in an online webinar like this, or maybe through an online platform like LinkedIn where I can reach out and make that context, I think it's just helpful to kind of know who are they, what's their purpose, and how are you going to reach out and engage them. And then the last thing I found to be the most important is that elevator pitch. For me, I found that because I'm networking both personally and professionally pretty consistently, a simple formula like your name, a little bit about your background, and then a unique detail, like you heard in my intro. You probably would have guessed that I like watching cars go around a racetrack. I do it all weekend, every weekend, and I travel the globe to see it. We're humans, and bringing that personal side into the professional world tends to only make us better. In today's session, we will have an opportunity to go into breakout rooms of small groups of about 8 people to get a chance to practice your elevator pitch. We're letting you know now so that maybe throughout the session, you can kind of be thinking about what you might like to say. If you don't want to do the elevator pitch, that's okay. Maybe you're not ready for it yet. You'll get the chance to practice it if you want to. And if not, you're going to get the chance to hear from some other participants try theirs. So maybe you can make some notes about things that you want to try in your future. So just flagging it for you, you will get a chance to practice that elevator pitch. But now Sarah's going to help us out by diving a little bit more about building that rapport once you have that initial contact and that networking opportunity.
Thanks. Yeah, it's about being consistent, right? And really making sure that you're showing that genuine interest in that person that you're talking with, you're building that network relationship with. It also is value exchange. You need to be reciprocal and ask if they need any help with anything, and be that partner in that relationship, and be reliable once you offer up that help. And then finally, it's all about trust, building that honesty, transparency, and the reliability that you're going to be there for that person in the future as you build that network.
When we think about networking, I kind of break it down into two pipelines for strategic networking. And really, this is all about thinking about your audience and the way you want to engage when you're trying to approach those valuable industry contacts. For me, I really break it down into two sides. The organized side, which is through online platforms, formal events, organizations, and networking. And then the other side is really about mutual connections and areas of interest. When we think about this first bucket, that really more structured formal process, it's really important that we think about how we like to engage with others. So think about LinkedIn. I don't know about you guys, but I get a lot of LinkedIn messages, a lot of LinkedIn emails, a lot of messages every day. And I think the best approach when we're using online platforms like LinkedIn is to be clear and concise about why we're reaching out, why you want to connect. So if you're really trying to network a specific person, just be clear and consistent on what you're trying to message them and what you're looking for and why you're making that contact with them. If you're going through a network like Hygieia, it's really important that you understand all the different resources that are available that you can take advantage of. They set up these fantastic peer-to-peer events where you can learn from each other. But like Allison mentioned, they also have mentoring opportunities as well as mentees. So maybe you're really seasoned in your career and feel like you have a lot to give back. So thinking about your organizations, know what opportunities are within those. And if you don't know, ask so you can take advantage of those. On the other side, this is where things happen a little bit more organically, and that's thinking about the mutual connections and mutual areas of interest. I don't know about you guys, but I don't like cold calling. I get a little nervous. But if I know that I want to connect with a person and I have a mutual friend with them or a mutual colleague that we know each other and I can see it, sometimes I feel that making that contact and making that networking bridge feels like there's less of a gap to jump across if I can help use that mutual connection to make that introduction. Or if I find that we have a common area of interest, or maybe we share a bit of a little overlap in our professional backgrounds, and being able to use those to reach out to make that initial point of contact can just really relieve that pressure a little bit. So as you're engaging either through a structured format like online and events and organizations, or more organically, just make sure you're doing that in a genuine way. You're letting people know why you're reaching out and what your goal is in networking with them. So now we're going to just do a quick summary of some of those tips. So if we can just go to the do's and don'ts. What it really boils down to in the networking in practice is just a couple of do's. Be genuine and be respectful of other people's time. I think about that golden rule, treat others the way you want to be treated. It's the same with networking. Network with others the way you want to be networked with. So when you're in those relationships of networking, you want to offer that help and that shared value. It shouldn't ever feel one-sided in a networking situation where you're building an authentic relationship. So that's usually a good flag. So make sure you're offering that help and shared value there. And the last is stay organized with contact details and follow-ups. It's really important that if you're networking with someone and you commit to doing something and following up on something, that you follow through with that. And it's just like you would want if somebody else commits to doing something for you too. A couple of quick don'ts. Don't monopolize conversations. It's really easy to want to take all the airtime because it's like, hey, I've got all this information and knowledge I want to share from you so that you can know what to tailor with me about what you give me back. So just really try to focus on asking questions, open-ended questions, and letting the conversation evolve. And the last one is avoid asking for favors too early in a relationship. So once you've gotten to know somebody and you're building that bridge and you have a little bit of depth to pull from, then it's more appropriate. But don't ask for that favor, that connection. Hey, do you guys have any openings? Way too early in that relationship. I think it's important to just really build that base and ask for those favors when the time feels authentic and when you've got a lot to pull from. So now we're going to take a few minutes to put this into practice. I mentioned it earlier, and I'm sure the nerves are coming up because they are for me too. We're going to go into these breakout rooms to practice our introductions. I encourage you that this is a safe space. These will not be recorded. So even though the session is being recorded, breakout rooms will not be recorded. This is a chance for each of you to practice your elevator pitch, maybe about a minute apiece. And if you haven't ever done one before, we've put the example formula here for you with name, bit about your professional background, and a unique detail. So you'll be in rooms of 8. Each person will have about a minute to practice their introductions. If you really do not want to do your introduction, that's okay. We just recommend that you encourage the other participants by giving them a thumbs up, a reaction as they try theirs, and maybe make note of some tactics that you hear somebody use that you really like and might want to try later. So Allison, would you do us a favor and kick us off into our breakout rooms?
So I welcome everyone to put some of their thoughts in the chat, how that felt. Did it feel good? Did it not feel good? Did you make some connections? How do you feel about that? Good? Kim says good. Very easy.
We have some pros on this call. I need to take a page from their book.
Good. I'm glad that we did some chatting for the day.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you all for sharing that.
Fantastic. Awkwardly good. I love that.
Charlonda, I thank you for calling it out. Yeah, we're all a little hesitant at first. So yes, thank you for your realness. And Brandy, awkwardly good. Thank you for your realness.
That's what this is all about, right? It's all about connecting. So we wanted to give you a taste of that, little safe space to kind of just hang and get to meet each other and build connections throughout here. So I know it sometimes it's kind of scary to put yourself out, but let's go over some of the fear of networking. So you got to make sure if you're going to an event, let's say, do a little homework before you go. As Meredith had mentioned, build your elevator pitch, what you're going to say, what is the event about, understand what the event is so that when you get there, you kind of feel more comfortable. You've thought through that. And sometimes it's better just to bring a buddy. Take that person with you, a friend, a colleague, to, hey, you want to go to this with me? Because I'm feeling a little awkward. Let's go to this together. And then just making sure that you understand what and how you're going to embrace the awkwardness. So focus on listening. It's easier to sit back and just listen to people up front and then build that genuine connection as we had talked about. Make sure you maintain eye contact, your open position, posturing, and then also a welcoming smile. And then just getting over that self-doubt. I know it's nerve-wracking, but take a deep breath. I'm going to meet some folks. I'm going to build my networking around and just feel comfortable there. And then finally, set realistic goals. Not everybody you meet is going to become your best friend. It's going to take some time. I have some great friends over the years that I've met that are really tight with, and other friends that are just colleagues. But just realize that not everybody's going to be your bestie at the first connect. Really important that you follow up with a personalized note, whether that's just a quick text in LinkedIn or just a follow-up call. But really make sure that you're following back to make that connection. And so with that, I'm going to turn it on over to Meredith.
So we know we're asking a lot of you as participants. We sent you to breakout rooms. We made you introduce yourselves. And now we're going to ask that If there are questions that maybe you've thought of throughout the session, or maybe questions you had coming into this session today, that's something we haven't covered, we'd like to open it up. So you can do that by sending a question in the chat or raising your hand and coming off mute, and we'd love to answer some questions now. I always feel like that scene where it's like Bueller.
Buddy.
I see Rosalia has her hand up. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Hi,
Thank
Rosalia.
you so much for the webinar. This is very good, very helpful. So Meredith and Sara, you mentioned about remaining genuine. When you connect with colleagues, peers in the industry, how do you ensure you are following up still in maintaining the communication and still remaining genuine? You set up. How do you do it? We have so many contacts, we have so many friends personally, and then professionally, we have so many connections. How do you maintain that communication?
Absolutely. I think that's a fantastic question. And it sounds like we had a couple of similar ones come up in the chat. I see one from Megan, like how do you maintain relationships with people you meet through networking? And I think what I like to go back to is that formula that I found that works for me. And it starts with setting goals, right? If you know the purpose of that networking relationship and you have a specific goal in mind. So for example, sometimes I just meet people, and to Sara's point, they're just a colleague, they're an acquaintance, they're a great person I met. I was happy to meet them. But maybe there's a person who I met, I really want to get to know more. I have a specific question about their role or their company, and I really want to build and nurture that relationship. I find that I have to tap into the systems that work best for me to fold it into my part of my working routine. I'm a person with a to-do list. I have a daily planner. I have a digital one, but I have my get it done today, and then I have goals for tomorrow, later to do this week. So if it's something that works for you, fold it into a system that works. If there's a relationship you're really trying to nurture, then plan it out, put it on your calendar for your Outlook to make a note of that person. Engage with their interactions on LinkedIn. Your algorithm will bring their posts up more so you can engage with them more. So I just found that by structuring it into my normal follow-up processes as if this was part of my job is what works for me. Sara, do you have any insights?
Yeah, related to LinkedIn, it's really important that you, on those posts, provide a comment back. So someone will really welcome that if you respond back, or if they've been promoted, making sure that you say congratulations and make it personal. Just don't hit the button that says, congratulations, Amy. Just say, hey, great job. Wishing you continued success on your career. It's amazing, that type of thing. And just bringing that personal feel back into that relationship, and just take some time within LinkedIn and make sure that you're reconnecting.
I agree. I think Kate's hand was up next. We'll go to Kate.
Hey, I have a question. I'm actually pretty good at networking, which is really amazing. But sometimes at work and being a mom, I get really busy. And then I get worried that too much time has passed for me to reconnect. Like, what is that? Like, if 6 months has passed and, you feel really guilty that you didn't get to do the follow-up that you had maybe written down, but then turned the page and forgot, or even a year, is that just too far and it's lost? Or like, I just always am concerned how much time is too much time to try to rekindle that amazing network you had at a conference or a meeting or something like that. Like, what does the group think is too much time? Because
right,
that's
I
where
never
I'm
think. Yeah, I think it's never too late. And one of the things that I was pleased about is when I sent out this post that I was going to be a co-facilitator, the amount of people that hit liked, and it brought back all of the different connections I've made through the years, and then allowed me then to reconnect with them. And even though I probably haven't talked to some folks in 5-10 years, but it was just so wonderful to see them hit that like button. So I never think it's too late. I don't know. I don't know what you think, Meredith.
I agree. And Kim responded in the chat. You can always reach back out. You can say it's been a while. You want to reconnect. For me, I'm a real person. I'm a blunt person. So I'll just own it. And I'll just say, hey, I'm so sorry. Life has been really wild lately. And I would love to it was so great connecting with you at XYZ and meeting you. And I would love a chance to reconnect. Do you have 15 minutes? We could grab a virtual coffee and just catch up. I think, again, just being your genuine, authentic self. Like for me, I'm a person who would rather call the elephant in the room just because like I feel better about it. So I think whatever is your most authentic way, like how would you pick up and call a friend that you haven't caught up with in 6 months? Hey, it's been a while, would love to reconnect. So I think you're right. There's no amount of time that passes that's too much. You can always just reach back out and say, hey, I'm sorry, life's been a little wild. I'd love to reconnect if you have some time. Here are 3 open times I've got. If not, throw something else out.
Thank you.
I see we have another hand raised. Is it Andrea or Andrea?
Yeah, wherever you spell it's correct. My name is Andrea. I'm from El Salvador. I'm barely new in Canada. I'm here since last year. So for me, I have right now like almost 6 months in this company in Wertz Industries. So I have like 1 month in my new role, like sales support and customer service coordinator. So for me, it's very interesting because I already have experience in sales management in my home country, right? But how do you think, or what do you think is the best way to make connections in a new location, new country like me, and start establishing a business relationship? Because this is my role, in sales you need to be have a lot of connections, networkings and all of that. So what is the best way? That I don't know if you have a tip or something like that.
Yeah, my suggestion is Chamber of Commerce. I don't know if they have that up in Canada, but in the United States, there's quite a good network, especially in my area, to bring businesses together, to bring business people together, and just finding events that locally you could start connecting with people. Meredith?
I was going to say mentorship. I think for me, finding a mentor has been really life-changing in so many ways. Joining this industry and changing careers completely, I did start all over. And even getting to this opportunity today was because of my coworker, Deb Mazuka, who's highly involved with Hygeia. So I think if you find a mentor who works in a similar role to you, or maybe somebody who has more experience than you, they're able to really be an advocate for you and get you a seat at the table and introduce you to other people. So I'm very big on who do you know that you think I would be a great connection with? So I saw some questions in the chat about like, do you have a specific question you like to use when you meet people? That's one question I always like to ask when I meet people. Like, hey, do you have anybody you recommend that I meet? Like that is such a powerful question because they may not be the right person to connect with, but maybe they know who would be. And I think that can be a really powerful way, is just by asking people you trust to introduce you to people who they think would be beneficial for you to meet and learn from.
Perfect. Thank you
I
so
saw
much.
someone had a tip in the chat that, oh no, and it just scrolled. It said a good tip was a good question is asking who they are, what they're doing, what's new and exciting to get conversation started. So when you're maybe reaching out to somebody new, just kind of like maybe ask people what they've done that's worked well for them too, and that's helped them to get where they are. I know that a lot of other people on these calls have recommended other organizations that they're a part of too, or other networks that they join those meetings to help them meet other people that are in similar roles to help grow that network. I'm really mentoring, the power of relationships. Okay, Leah, I see a hand raised.
Yes, hi. Just commenting on the comment before that, how long can you wait before contacting people? I'm 61 years old and I've reconnected with people I haven't talked to in 20 years. And you know what? Never miss the opportunity to reach out because everybody's busy. A lot of people just go, oh yeah, maybe, they'll remember me or whatever. And they're so pleased to know that they were remembered and thought of fondly. So yeah, never stop yourself.
Amazing.
Agreed. And Brandy, I did see that you also had a question in the chat that if you're using social media, for example, LinkedIn, how many times do you reach out to somebody who doesn't respond? Sometimes people don't want to connect. I don't think there's any exact measurement to it. Again, think back to the golden rule. How many, network the way you want to be networked with, and do whatever feels authentic. If somebody messages you twice and you don't respond and you're like, take a hint, then maybe just set a rule of whatever that is, that your own internal compass, like what are you comfortable with? I don't know of any particular science, but I kind of feel like usually for me, it's like, hey, I'll maybe make the initial contact. By the second one, if I'm following up and I'm not getting any response, then, maybe it's not the right one for me. So I think maybe just trust your internal compass on that one. And Teresa, we'll close it out with the last question from Teresa.
Hi, ladies. Thank you so much for taking my question. It's pretty specific on like a tactical tool. Do either of you have a lot of experience or any experience with Sales Navigator within LinkedIn? And if so, do you like it? Do you recommend it? And is there a best practice that you use it for? I mean, how you use it?
I don't, just because of the nature of my business. So I don't really have anything related to that. I don't know,
Okay.
Meredith, do you have anything?
I do, yes. I have Sales Navigator, and for me, I think it goes back to that strategic networking slide, right? The formal side and the informal side. The thing I like most about LinkedIn Sales Navigator is that there's that relationship connector tool on there where you can see, hey, this one's a first tier connection, a second tier connection, a third tier connection, and it will show you who the mutual connections are. So sometimes I leverage that to find who those mutual connections are. If I know that person well, I can reach out to them, ask them to make an introduction, or reach out to them to get more information about that person I'm trying to reach out to. Hey, I see that you're connected with this person. Can you tell me a little bit more about them? I'm trying to reach out to them for context XYZ. That's the way I've found it to be the most beneficial.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks for the webinar.
You bet.
Thank you.
So we will transition to close with just a quick summary of some key takeaways and some resources for you all. So just a highlight summary, networking is for every day, not just when you're looking for a job. Always be networking, always be looking for opportunities to grow. Active listening is the most powerful tool. If you show genuine interest and ask those insightful questions, you're going to be able to see that relationship evolve authentically. Follow up. Send that thank you email or message and keep in touch regularly. Regularly meaning whatever frequency you set with that person. And if you need it, set an accountability system with yourself, buy an Outlook reminder, because we're all in Outlook all day, every day. And then that last one is just really the core of everything. Be authentic, build real meaningful relationships, just not those superficial connections. But with the caveat, we know not everybody's meant to be your best friend. A couple of podcasts and books for you down below, and these will be in the resources that are going to be shared in the PowerPoint that will be uploaded. So feel free to go listen to some of these podcasts. We've got Dare to Lead with Brene Brown, which episodes are about an hour long. Networking RX is nice for little short episodes if you've only got a couple minutes. Networking Unleashed, the podcast. And then we have 3 books over here for you, Taking the Work Out of Networking, Networking for People Who Hate Networking, which is my favorite, and the Harvard Business Review Guide to Smarter Networking. One quick note that I forgot to mention when we came back from breakout rooms, if you were really nervous and maybe didn't want to practice your elevator pitch in a group setting, you are welcome to reach out to Sara and myself, and we would love to set up a time one-on-one to practice that with you in a smaller setting if that's more comfortable. So I just wanted to make sure I shared that with that group and sent it in the chat.
Thank you, Meredith and Sara, for such a great presentation today.